Hello, this is Manesh Patel from the EII Capital Group. Today is Monday, October 25th, 2010. This is our weekly Ichimoku analysis for the futures market, where we cover everything from corn, wheat, oil, gas, gold, everything out there. Okay. Let's go for our normal disclaimers. This is for educational use only. All charts are either in Thinkorswim, TradeStation, or freestockcharts.com. Here are my contact details. You can follow us on Ichimoku Trading. Okay, so let's go to our heat map real fast and go look at it. Remember, a rating system of 5 to 8 is being bullish, -5 to -8 being bearish. If you look at wheat, it's basically got conflict. Soy is still growing on strong. Corn got a little weak on the daily. Sugar still going on strong. Coffee still going on strong, and oats are going on strong. So the only thing that's really weak is wheat out there, which is pretty much on the daily time frame. But the weekly is still very strong. If you look at metals, the daily has now got a little weak compared to weekly, both for silver and gold. But remember, because it was at its extreme last week. Platinum, it seems like it's getting stronger on the daily, and it's now starting to influence the weekly. If you come down here to crude oil's got conflict among all the time frames. Natural gas, of course, same as before, it's still bearish, and still bearish there. So let's go straight to the charts, and let's go and start flipping through all the futures like we normally do every week. Okay, because we got a lot to cover in a very short amount of time. Okay, so let's go scroll down. Let's go look at crude oil. If you look at crude oil, just pretty much doing the same thing, just going sideways. We kind of expected that. Reason why is we want the Shikal to kind of pop out. Once the Shikal pops out of here, which you pretty much got about, I would say, a couple more weeks. If it sits there and then takes off. Okay, so if we consolidate for a couple of weeks, and then there's a high chance this thing's going to go bullish. If you look here on the daily time frame, same thing. Everything's just consolidating back and forth, back and forth. But look at the daily. The more we consolidate, the more we're getting closer to price. So that's not good at all. So there's conflict among the daily and the weekly that's going on for crude oil. So be very careful, and doesn't look like it's going to trend for a while. If you look at cotton, look at the daily time frame, that's trending really well. And if you look at the weekly, still going on very strong. In fact, price is now far away from the Tinkinson, which is not good on the weekly. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay. So cotton's still very strong going forward. If you look at the US dollar index, had a little doji bar right there on the weekly time frame, but it's still bearish, and you could see that there's still a lot there going on. Okay, let's go. We'll look at mini gold in a future minute. Feeder cattle. If you look at feeder cattle, remember it was consolidating. We expected it to come up to Tinkinson, Cajunson. Got there. Now it's just sitting there. There's no trend at all in this guy, waiting for it to do something. And if you look at the daily, it looks like one big mess. So you just kind of walk away from that guy. Okay. Lean hogs. If you look at lean hogs, we basically came up to the Tinkinson, the Cajunson, and we bounced off that guy, and we came straight into the cloud. Okay. Now we're prices in the cloud, so you got to be very careful because we've got to consolidate. Also, this future is still bullish. So in order for this thing to go bearish, we're gonna pull back a little, probably to the Tinkinson right here, and then take off and go down. If we do that, we're gonna be in a very big, nice bearish trend. And if you look at the daily time frame, you could see how nicely it's moved and still going on. Where it basically, look at this, where it had a support, broke it, came back here, turned that support into resistance, broke it, came down here, broke this support right here, turned around, made that support into resistance, and looks like it's going down. So this guy has been doing a lot of nice price pattern retracements off support resistance. If you look at copper, it's moving up nicely on the weekly, and look at the daily, it's kind of a little sitting there, but the Shikal is still very strong, and the weekly is still strong. So this thing has a tendency of probably still going on higher. Heating oil, as you can see, it's consolidating. Its Shikal's right here. Either next week or the week after that, there's a high possibility that this thing's going to break out and go to the top side, if not by the end of this week. If you look at the daily time frame, still here. As I mentioned, this has a high possibility of going to the top side very soon and start trending. If you look at coffee, coffee's still going on very strong, still, but it's stuck at its resistance level here, and it doesn't seem like it wants to move now. If you notice here, we came and retested the last pivot high last week. This week, we're just kind of sitting there right now since the beginning of the week, but we have to see if it's going to continue to move forward. But if you look at the Chicago, it's still very strong, so there's a high possibility that this thing's going to keep on going. Okay, natural gas, nothing to say, it's still bearish. Orange juice, if you look at orange juice, looks nasty. Basically broke out, little fake broke out, came down here, came right back to the last resistance, turned into support. Now this thing's got to start flying up in order for a trend to start existing. Okay. Platinum, if you look at platinum, you could tell on the weekly it's basically weak. Doesn't have as momentum as the other gold stocks. And if you look at the daily, it's bullish and it's still holding strong, but it's in a little tight consolidation pattern at the top. Palladium, if you look at this one, we haven't been covering this one, but we'll start because the CNBC's been talking about it. Nice trend on the weekly, and if you look at the daily, it's still pushing forward and looks very, very nice. Yet to break the Cajun set at all. None of these, if you look at these metal stocks, really has broken the Cajun set out on the daily or the weekly at all, and they're still going strong, these metal stocks. Okay, let's quickly wrap this up. Let's go to 10-year futures. If you look, it's at the top side here. Nothing much there. We've got to wait and see which way this guy's going to go. But if you look at the daily, it looks like it's trying to go down, but it needs a little momentum to go down to confirm it going down completely. Let's go look at soybean real fast. You can see it's still strong going to the top side. It's actually at our resistance level now that we've indicated, so we got to be very, very careful here. Okay, and lastly, wheat. Basically, remember wheat, the weekly is basically being destroyed. It's not being destroyed because we really haven't gone below the Cajun sin, but it's just hanging around there. And if you look at the daily, it's kind of setting up to go lower. So if it breaks this level of 640, wheat will definitely go lower. Hope you enjoyed this week's video on futures, and have a good